What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. LCQ is up. The teams are moving on, and we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about that we will get to in just a moment. But before we get into all of that juicy stuff, let's check in with the boys here. Finn, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm good. Long week. Good week, but I've been grinding hard in the gym, which has been super sick. Big Plastic still got me in their pocket, and yeah, can't complain. Can't complain. Pretty good week so far. What about you, Wyatt?
My week was good. Okay, so I decided that I started playing, I was playing Apex with my friends, and I've always been better than these friends. And then I was playing, and I haven't played in weeks and or maybe even a month. And I start playing, and I'm not playing well. And I was like, what the hell? I'm supposed to be good at this compared to them. And it wasn't happening. And so I said to myself, I'm not getting off till I feel pretty again. And so I went crazy. I finished every challenge that is in the game possible right now. Every challenge is done. My battle pass level when I started was like 52, and I've got it up to 90. So I just went absolutely insane, played a shitload of Apex. And I got to say, I kind of fell back in love with it again. I didn't play ranked at all, and maybe that's why I fell heavy in love with it, because if I played ranked, it probably wouldn't have been as fun. But I just played regular old pubs and regular old mixtape and had myself a ball. I'm the greatest team deathmatch player of all time. Sign me if you need a teammate. If you're trying to win, that's what I do. I get kills in team deathmatch. And other than that, I won a Rocket League tournament. It was I saved the replay. Was watching the highlights today. You know, you when you get yourself in a championship situation, you know, we get down there, we lose game 1, we have to come out win game 2, we do, and then game 3 tie game going into the final minute. Who puts the goal in the back of the net? I mean, it's your boy. That's what I do. That's what I was born for. That's what I was made to do. That's what I did. We win. We get the insurance goal right after that. Shout out Schmozzy, my teammate. I mean, it feels good to be on top. And yeah, I mean, I was just winning this weekend. E, how was your weekend?
The week's been good. I've got nothing to complain about. Weekend was solid as always. I'm you know, you have a tournament that doesn't go quite the way that you want. But you know, I had a pretty good weekend. I'm not even gonna cap. Like, yeah, the games on Sunday clearly didn't go the way that we wanted. But you know, this is a team that we picked not because we thought that we were gonna have instant success, which I did think that we were gonna have instant success leading into the tournament. I very much like we just did not show up the way we needed to, and all of the boys know it. But I'm super excited to see where this team's going to go. I'm looking forward to seeing where we will end up heading, because if this team ends up sticking together and we get Naughty on full time, I believe that this team will make the next LAN opportunity that we'll have. And so we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see the work that we're going to be putting in moving forward to better prepare us for next time we'll be playing, which will be for the PLQ, because we have to qualify for Pro League through qualifiers because of how bad we played. But it is what it is, and it's a nice little obstacle that we'll overcome. And I'm excited to see where we go.
Can you explain that? Would you say PLQ?
Yeah, so it's like Pro League qualifier. So there's 2 teams that are picked by Respawn. Respawn just gets to pick 2 teams and just extend them an invitation, and then it doesn't matter anything. They get to go because Respawn wants them, right?
At LAN.
And so what?
At LAN.
No, not
at
LAN.
Champs.
To Pro League.
A Pro League. Okay, just Pro League.
Pro League. We're just talking about Pro League because like we played so bad on the LCQ that we don't have a guaranteed spot in Pro League.
Right. So you're hoping that the Respawn picks y'all.
Well, no. Okay. Well, so Respawn picks 2, right?
I'm not gonna lie.
And
it feels like
everybody
tripods.
and their brother knows
Yeah,
that the tripods are getting one of them.
Yeah.
Because there just ain't no way that Respawn is gonna risk the chance of not having one of the biggest Twitch streamers in the world competing in their game and not playing in their pro league.
Yeah.
Tripods are definitely getting one of them. We'd like to think that as a signed team that we are, that we might get the invite. But even if it doesn't, I would be absolutely just shocked and utterly confused if we somehow managed not to qualify through the PLQs, just because I think we just have way too much talent. We have way too much going for us to not. Like, obviously, we showed that you can be an incredibly talented team, and if you have a bad day, you're gonna have a bad day. Like, we just had players who didn't show up the way that any of them would have liked, and it happens. And you typically like to think that you try to get those days out during scrims, right? So that way you don't have those days come on the days where they really, really matter. And we had a bad day on a day that was super important. Everybody's got a certain amount of those in them, and so we got ours out of the way. It's just we're slingshotting, Like, I think some people would like. It's weird.
Do you want to get into
like,
it?
There's a lot of people out there that think that I'd be like some sort of like mad and like jealous of like Tyler qualifying and us doing as poorly as we did, and like me having been the one to made the decision to like let him go. But I like genuinely, like, obviously I wish we played better, but like I'm stoked to see him and the success that he's having and how good Dojo is as a team. Like, they're going to be an incredibly fun team to watch moving forward. And it's just wild to me that there's people out there that like think that there's like beef or there's like any amount of me being upset that Tyler's doing well. Because I mean, like, that's the homie. Like, I was friends with him before and I was still friends with him after. And it sucked having to like be in that situation and having 2 guys on your team say that they don't want to work with their third player, and that third player happens to be a guy that you're friends with. And the decision was made. I'm excited. I was ideally hoping that we would walk away going to LAN and that Dojo would walk away going to LAN, and I was half right. And hopefully that they'll pop off, they'll do their thing, they'll continue to cement themselves as a top team. And I think that I'm very optimistic and looking forward to seeing how well we'll perform as a team moving forward. Like, we didn't perform as well as we wanted, but I still have the utmost confidence in the roster of Naughty, Zach, and Chaotic. And I think that they're going to be a very dangerous team. The more practice, the more that you get used to playing together, getting Zach and Naughty a little bit more involved in the play calling side of things. Because the enemy touches on this in this interview, but it's so critical being able to have all 3 players make a decision based upon the information that they have. And so that's definitely an area that we're going to be focusing on. And like, we got so much talent. The team meshes well. They all enjoy playing with each other. And yeah, we didn't show up the way we needed to, but that doesn't. I'm still super confident in the boys, and I'm excited to see what we do moving forward.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about here on the first side of the pod, which is the LCQ Last Chance Qualifier. Let's kick it off with our teams that did make it. Like we said, the Dojo and DNO, the Dojo being It's Timmy, Designful, and Enemy, and DNO being Senox, Duplex, and Lou. Lou, formerly a part of the Lanimal squad, which I have to shout out because Lanimals was my team. But yeah, both of those teams were the ones who made it in. They had a crazy final fight. And if you haven't watched it yet, it was insane. Like, these 2 teams who are both trying to get in, and they don't really know if they're going to get in. And they're having this fight at the end. The Dojo comes out on top. They end up winning it. But it was just LCQ is wild, dude. Like, watching that through that entire LCQ, it was way more fun than all of like the regular group days. Like, all like when you're leading up to split one land or split two land, like those days where you're leading up to it. Like those are cool. Those are great. LCQ felt like it was a land. Like it had the same feeling. Like everybody's vying for that final spot to get in, and it just had that feeling of desperation. And it was super super fun to watch. And I love how they had the same kind of format to whoever gets in at the end. It's just those last two spots. You get the match point, you get the extra points if you play well on the days before. I love the way they did the LCQ. It was really fun. Lots of great storylines to get into here. Finn, let's kick it off with anything that you had in mind, any storylines that you thought were interesting from this LCQ.
All right. Let's see here. Well, one, winners bracket round 2. I'm okay. I think we first need to talk about the whole E8 situation first. If you're okay with that, Enoch.
Yeah, we can. I don't mind.
So I'm gonna go back to my take that I said I felt like the Naughty, I don't know if Naughty made the right decision going and playing with E8, and instead I think he should have played with Tech. That being said, Tech's team didn't do super well in finals either. Yeah, so maybe I'm not 100% right, but I do think that they were kind of cooking. I think I cannot remember the guy that they picked up for their
Karma.
Oh,
Karma's been playing exceptionally well with them. He fits into there's Karma was the person that we were trialing and who was our most likely who we were going to end up going with until we ended up
with Nani
getting Naughty.
Gotcha.
And so once we knew that once Naughty said he was down, we got Naughty, and then we reached out to Tech and we're like, you really need to give this guy a trial. He is extremely talented, but it just makes way more sense given all the history that Zach and Naughty have to go with him. And Karma was playing exceptionally well with Tech and the boys. It's just some days you have those days where you don't play your best.
Yep, which is fair. I still think that this is me once again personally. I feel like he still plays better on that Meat Lovers team than I think the whole E8 squad. I will say I was a little surprised. Well, let's see. You guys snuck in. Okay, so you guys lost in winners bracket round 2. And then in round 2 of losers, you guys had to dude, I do not know how y'all qualified in that in the losers round 2. It was so top heavy, but I do not understand it because you guys that first game hard carried y'all because you guys had 18 points, and then it went 18th place, 0 kills, 14th, 17th, 15th, 19th, 19th, 12th. But you had KP, which carried you. But I just felt like, I don't know, dude. You guys weren't playing super heavy zone. Did y'all ever think about changing maybe to a Valk or something? That's another thing that I want to get into later for the LCQ finals. But anyway, I felt like Chaotic was having a pretty rough day. I felt like maybe in the contest specifically, it was pretty wild, and I was a little sad because I felt like y'all
were contested.
What? No, not the finals. No, but during the winners or for the losers round 2.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm talking about? But okay, yeah, I just think overall, it felt like y'all were a bit jumbled, is what I would say, and that's just me looking from the outside, looking in. I do wish them the best because they are our friends. You obviously coach them, and I wanted to be wrong, I wanted to be wrong to think that E8 was going to do poorly, but I don't know. It feels like y'all got a lot of stuff to clean up. That's not just a one-day thing because it happened not just in the losers final, but also in y'all's grand finals. So I don't know what exactly it is, but if that team's wanting to stick together, I think they do need to kind of work out some logistical issues, specifically with their macro. Placement was not very good for y'all, and I'm sure you're aware of that. I mean, besides the first game that you guys got 7th, but you guys didn't have any kills. But like, I know the zones were a little weird, but not getting above top 10 besides one time is kind of rough through 5 games. And so I think maybe the macro situation is something that I would look into, but that's all I'm going to say for E8. You can say what you want, but
Damn,
on the outside looking
that's
in,
all you're gonna say. You just roasted him.
I'm not trying to.
3 minutes.
Okay, here's the reason why. Is because E8
No, I mean,
has
that's
massive.
that's valid that our placements were not that great.
I'm
We're far from it.
I am. If you look at Challenger Circuit, LCQ, EA is one of the more notable teams that you have. Very story team, like you have like exceptionally like well-rounded, a lot of experience on your team with Naughty, with Zach, with Chaotic. Chaotic has the least amount from everybody else, but even then, he's been to LA and he's been in those.
Okay, hold up. You're twisted for the meat take. By the way,
Why?
Like, I understand that we didn't play super well, but we placed 16th. We did not do. We played pretty bad, right? There was very few teams that played worse than us,
By
and
one
meat
point.
was one of them.
Yeah, by 1 point. So like you guys were like on equal playing ground.
Yeah, but they only had 2 kills.
What are
Meat
you
only
saying
had
for
2
me?
kills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I get. Yeah. I mean, sure. I guess, but I don't. I get it. I'm agreeing with you. That's why I'm saying maybe it's not nearly as it might be more like it's not as valid a take.
They just traded kills for placement. Like E8 got more kills but no placement, and then Meat Lovers got better placement but no kills. It was kind of how it went. They just kind of flip-flopped on that.
Right. Okay. So, am I being too harsh on you, E? Am I being too harsh on E8?
I respect it. No, I don't like. I'm not gonna get like offended or anything. Like, and you're just presenting your valid thoughts.
It's tough.
And it's like I'm not super like emotionally connected. I'm not gonna get like upset about it.
Right.
It's like, yeah, we didn't play too great, and our macro clearly, if we're not getting any placement better than the top 10, we need to be analyzing that and trying to do better in the future. I would say that, truthfully, I don't think our macro's bad. I think that we just don't play our situations the way that we need to, and we end up dying because of it.
You saying like third party situations, like when y'all get thirded?
Well, no, I think that
like,
we don't
take fights when you shouldn't
take our fights in the right ways, and then sometimes we opt to not take a fight, and then that decision ends up costing us. But I don't think that's like us getting into bad spots. I think it's just us getting into spots and then playing it poorly.
Right, but I will say this. It felt like there was not a ton of adjustments because goes back to the LCQ and something that I've noticed, and this is once again outside perspective, but looking at the map, but also looking at how people were playing that. There were so many teams trying to play that edge hybrid style that the dojo was running that it was causing absolute chaos on the like outside of Ring 3. Like Ring 3 was a nightmare because no one was playing hard zone besides like 1 or 2 teams. And realistically, that just creates an absolute amount of like an obnoxious amount of chaos because no one's like playing for positioning really. And because of that, third parties happen way more often, which I saw happen to not just EA, but I did see EA get thirded a few times whenever they did take their fights. And I would say that, yes, you're right that like the positioning, they may have got the right positioning and then played it poorly. That's valid. I think that there's validity to that. But I think a lot of teams were not making the right adjustments of like, hey, maybe we should be actually rotating and playing hard zone. And this is maybe one of the things that is the differentiation between an LCQ team or like a challenger circuit team comparatively to like a pro team. I think is adjustments on the fly or adjustments in like how lobbies play out. Because I think a more granted, I was gonna say Furia, but realistically, Furia still plays that edge style anyway, and they got a lot of gifted zones. So I won't use them as an example, but I do think that were a lot of teams that ended up playing zone that ended up doing pretty well and ended up making a pro league spot because they were making those adjustments. I saw, oh gosh, there was a team that switched to Valkyrie. Is what I'm trying to say. I mean, because there were open god spots, second best spot, third best spot in zone that were getting for free, dude. I saw Madness get top of landslide for absolute free whenever there's 14 or 15 squads up, and it's obviously going to be going to landslide, and they get top for free. Like, I don't even know how that even happens. But I just think adjustments were not being made that I think would happen probably at a higher tier lobby. That could be due to just player knowledge or just the way that most of these teams like to play, which is pretty aggressive heavy. But I just think maybe that could have been a benefit for EA is maybe dropping the Horizon and getting into Valk. But I do think one of the things on your team being chaotic, I think chaotic is very. I don't know how comfortable he feels playing Cat comparatively to Horizon, and I think that might be one of y'all's issues. As I think the legend variety is legend comfortability on other legends. It felt like it wasn't always there with that during this whole like LCQ. So I have other stuff, and I'll get to that if you want to. We don't have to talk about it continuing on the podcast, but that's my E8 breakdown and LCQ breakdown, mainly for Meat. Meat too. Meat was at least rotating, but they were losing fights. So I mean, like what Wyatt was saying, like they weren't getting any kills. Like they may have been in a decent position, but like we talked with enemy, I mean, they're getting in position to have white armors, maybe blues if tech's like farming with the crypto EMP, but you're not going to win fights whenever a lot of these teams are playing mad aggressive and have red to purple armor and try and breach your building. It's just going to be hard to do.
They didn't get a whole lot of kills, but they doubled what Ascend got last couple weeks ago, so not a big deal. They did double that. Yeah, so some other storylines getting off of E8 and moving more to some of the other teams here. We have to bring up the dojo. Just 82 kills, 137 points. I'll say it again. 82 kills, 137 points on winners round 2. The next closest kill leader had 33. The next closest point leader had 66. It was just an onslaught of points, an onslaught of kills. They were playing out of their minds. They were playing great. The dojo, obviously, they're one of our teams who moved on. They just looked great. They were doing really well. Another team that probably was a surprise that didn't make it, that a lot of people were kind of expecting to, was Furia. Obviously, they just brought on Alb, who's been on the show. Alb joined the team. He had himself. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was kind of the experience, the Alb experience we've been seeing over the last split. They were so close. They were really only a couple points behind second place. They were in they were in match point. They just couldn't get that win, but they were there. They were close. So Furia was another one of those. And then obviously anytime you bring up a tournament like this, LCQ, you got to bring up the tripods. Nick Merckx, his team did not do well on the first day. Just terrible. Just did not do very good at all. But then they actually had a very good, I think, was it Losers 1? They won Losers 1. They came out with the win, and IGL Merckx was going in on that day. And then unfortunately Losers 2, they just didn't have it. They missed it by 2 points. They had 34 to make the cut, was 36. So those were some of the other major storylines. Anything you guys that stood out to you guys from the weekend?
So tripods, I think that is a surprise, and they looked very, very strong in scrims. I mean, this is another tell sign of, dude, scrims mean pretty much nothing for the most part. Not completely nothing. There's stuff you can get out of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to dominate. Even though the dojo, it was an example of them doing well, and then they ended up doing well. So I don't know if it was maybe once again a bad day for tripods or not, but I do remember during the losers round 2, whenever they didn't end up qualifying, they had dude, I think they had 2 zones where it went towards C note, which is where they land, and it was ending ending on the bridge or near the bridge or near the dock, which is like in between it would be Mill and C note cave. And so they had 2 times where like zone went to them. One of them they got 3rd place, I believe, and then the other one they ended up dying because the team zone wrapped them and shot them in the back, which sucks really, really bad. But they didn't get to capitalize on that game. And I think if they actually capitalize on it, AKA just watch their back, they didn't know. To be fair, getting zone wrapped nowadays is like kind of a move, kind of a strat because of how zone works. But it sucks because it was like, dang, they were actually in a really good spot, zone pulled to them, but they didn't take full advantage of it. And I don't know if that's necessarily on them not practicing all the time because you can't really predict that. But I do think maybe they could have done a better job of like holding their back and like holding their positioning well, because they were kind of bunched up in a not so great spot. And then they get zone wrapped and then they die. But that's just one instance. They had multiple times where they didn't do well with their macro. It's again another team where they were wanting to play that edge play style, but they didn't end up like. There's too many teams playing edge, man. There's just too many. It gets crowded, man, and they just get thirded or they get gate kept whenever like zone 4 comes in. And it's like, dude, if you're not making adjustments, you got to start rotating earlier. And they even have like one of the things about C Note Cave, for those that don't know, normally C Note Cave gets a is it called a tripod? It's not a tripod. It's a trident.
Beacon?
My gosh, no, trident. They're supposed to get that, but they didn't. They don't grab it for some reason. Like that's supposed to be their main rotate out of C Note. Like somebody lands on one of the tridents, and then they brings it back to C Note, so that they have rotates mainly specifically through water, like a wrapping around, and like there's a lot of different rotates that you can do with a trident essentially, but they don't do that for some reason. They like to play edge, and I think that that's one of the adjustments they could have made on Storm Point is using the trident to get to zone better. But that's it for the tripods. I'm upset. I'm not as upset as Wyatt because I think Wyatt really, really loves the tripods. He's a big tripods guy, and we do love Gent, friend of the program.
Gent, legend, Fresno State legend.
That's right, Fresno State. But I think this team kind of flopped, had a bad day, didn't make the adjustments that I wanted them to. But that's one surprise. I will say this.
I mean, did you just want every edge team to just play zone?
I wanted every edge team. I wanted the teams that got a somewhat high, like a 3rd or 4th prior to like zone, to actually take full advantage of it instead of like going around waiting for ring 3 to fight. That's what I wanted. But yeah, I do think teams should have played more zone. That's what I'm trying to say. But that wasn't overall everybody that was doing that. But like for example, a team that was a great surprise was Noxious, which is Press's team. Press, Ham, and I don't know who their 3rd is. I'm flopping on their 3rd, but they played heavy zone and they did super well during losers bracket. Granted, they didn't do what did they get in finals? Let me see. Well, 14th. They got 14th. Well, all right. They didn't do great either. But they were pretty impressive during their like everything else run. So unfort. I also don't think they got the. I don't think they got the same landing spot either. I don't think they were playing the same POIs for both everything. Just because they do change throughout the different brackets.
Can I hit the tripods real quick on something I saw? Dude,
I
actually think I do think that, you know, the trident point is valid, but their storm point looked great to me. I thought they had a very solid storm point. What worries me is their World's Edge. I think they got to figure out what's going on World's Edge. I didn't like what they were doing with WE, but I thought their storm point was really good. There are moments that they can definitely capitalize on and do a little bit better of a job on. They did win a game too, which is always cool to like. I like you can kind of see where they slot in here. Like they're one of those teams where when the calls are going and they're at their best, they can run a lobby of a lot of really solid teams. The problem then becomes though when you put them in lobbies with teams like E8 and like you said, some of these people who have been around for a super long time. That's kind of where they run into some trouble. But I did like I think if they can clean up their World's Edge a tiny bit, I think they'll actually be in a good spot. And they kind of had the same thing going on that the dojo had, where there was a lot of like everybody was saying IGL Mercs. It wasn't all him. Like if you were watching, there was a lot of everybody's input being put into what they wanted to do, and they're also very comfortable being apart from each other. Like there was one game, I think they ended up getting third, where they were on bridge. Nick was watching one side, and the other two were on Gent, and I always forget his fucking name. Gent and Deeds were on the other side, and they were on rock and just kind of waiting for the other team to push them, and they were actually like holding it really well. So they have the ability, but they Gent did not have the best. Like if you look at the days that they do well, Gent is usually getting a lot of kills and he's securing a lot of kills. On that final day, or I guess they played all of their games in one day, which was also crazy to me. Like that's insane. They had to play 16 games in one day. But Gent only came away with 4 kills at the end there. So I'm not saying it's all on him. It's just when they're playing their best, he's getting bodies and he just wasn't getting bodies. But to finalize my point, clean up the World's Edge. I think they have a much better chance on next year's run if they decide to go at it again. What do you guys think about Furia with Alb? What do you guys think of the first look?
Yeah,
You think it'll work long term?
Did you get to see any of that? I got an answer for you, White, but I want to see
where Gent's landing?
No. Where? No. With Furia, like how the new Furia look with Alb.
Oh, the new Furia, dude. I think the new Furia actually looked way better than I thought it was.
Dude,
I thought it looked way better than I was expecting it to. And like they were popping in. Alb tweeted out that he failed, and they got third. Like, yeah, they didn't get the top 2, and yes, they failed in the act of getting to land, but they showed that this is not just a last second sub in. This is the guy that we're going to be moving forward with, because if you have that type of performance and you don't move forward with him, despite the fact that you didn't win top 2, I mean, out of 40 teams, you placed third. Like, I think this is definitely a W for Furia in the long run. And I think it's going to be a team that gets better and better the more time that they play together. And so I was pleasantly surprised with how well they played. And like Mac was playing super well. And it was good to see.
Why, do you have anything? Dude, I kind of like it. I think maybe we talked about it, but I thought maybe the stock of Alb had gone down a little bit just because he's been around. I mean, he's been on a lot of different teams recently, but I will say him playing on Fury, they didn't look great in scrims. Once again, doesn't really correlate. They were showing a lot of prowess, I would say, but they did. I do think the lack of them playing together did cost them like 2 or 3 games to like winning. Granted, they did get high placement, a lot of zones pulled to them, and I think they utilized that and did pretty well. But I do think the lack of Kim for them only playing for a week and a half, kind of was their detriment. But if this team, okay, well, I'll say one more thing. Their dynamic is super, super interesting because they'll have Elb make a super great call, and then Pan will make a great call. And then I love the dynamic between Painters and Alb. And then Zara's just there to like even it out. Whatever you need, I'll be there using that cat. And I love their dynamic. I really did. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's a new look Furia. I would like this team to stick together, and I think they've got a lot of potential going forward if they can kind of get the Kim part down. But dude, they almost won like 2 or 3 games, man, and they couldn't pull it out. And if they did, they actually would be going to lane, which is crazy. But I like it overall. Why? I think I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think a lot of people weren't expecting it to go as well as it did, but it proved to go a lot better than we had all predicted. But either way, anything else, boys, before we throw it on down to our interview with the dojo enemy?
Okay, 2 things real quick, and I'll make this super quick. Dudes, the Stallions. Well, okay, I'll do 3 things. DNO, kind of surprised. I thought this Hodgepodge team was not going to do super well, but they pretty much clutched up. It's crazy because all 3 of these people used to be IGLs at one point, and then they all kind of talked like IGLs, which is pretty funny. But Dupe, I think, did a really good job of calming them down and like making good calls, but I think they all did. I like that. I think it's a very interesting team dynamic. If you haven't listened to their comms, make sure you do because they all kind of talk like IGLs. So that being said, a little surprised to see them, squeak it out to make it to land. Didn't think that they were going. I did think they were going to make it to Pro League. Didn't think they were going to be making it to land. So a little surprise there. Another thing, Stallions. This is the team of Retsy with Slayer and Funk. Pretty surprised, but they kind of showed out, and I was very impressed by them. And then a team that we've talked about quite a bit, a wild card team, used to be wild card, not called Team Stability, which was what Madness, Shuby, and who did they have? Oh, and Keon. And they didn't. They got 9th, and I don't think that means that they make it into Pro League. I'm not 100%.
No,
sure.
they have a Pro League spot.
Did they?
I believe.
Okay. Is it top 9? Was Pro League?
I think it was like top 10.
Top 10. Okay. Well, they made it. I was a little surprised because I had them maybe in my top 3, top 4 going into it because I think that team has a lot of grit and talent, but they ended up only getting 8th place, which I was a bit surprised about. So those were my big surprises. Yeah, and obviously we talked about Meat being in 18th place. I don't know, Tech, and then we're dominating, and then now they were what 3 points away from going to Pro League split to LAN, and then now he's gonna have to go through the Pro League qualifiers to get into Pro League now. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of crazy how different it is.
yeah, they still doubled Ascend's kill total at LAN with 2 kills. Doubled it. They doubled it. Okay, boys, let's send it on down to our guy, the dojo enemy. Cool, quick little interview here, but it was just really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it. I think he had a good time. Enemy was just a great guest. Only thing that's a little unfortunate is if you're watching on the YouTube, no camera, but I mean, his personality speaks through. He doesn't need a camera. You don't need to see him to have his personality shine through. And he was a great guest, an awesome guest. So we're going to throw it on down to him. Let's hit a quick ad and get to the dojo enemy. All right, here we are, ladies and gents, with the man of the hour. We've got the dojo's very own enemy on the show. Obviously, the dojo absolutely shredded in last chance qualifiers. They are moving on into the next round. And enemy, I just got to say, dude, how has this weekend been for you? That not only did you guys win, it was basically just pure domination from start to finish, and it just never really wavered. How are you feeling, and how excited are you to move on to champs?
I mean, overall, I would say I'm gonna say my overall experience with the tournament. I felt, I mean, even from the beginning when playing with Design and Timmy and how we were doing in scrims. I mean, constantly in scrims all the time we were doing like top 5 placements. I think we only had like ever 2 bad scrims, and seeing how other teams played, I know this wasn't gonna exactly be hard, but obviously not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, obviously our finals, we still struggled a little bit. We still had some very bad point games. I mean, if you haven't even seen, Timmy had to clutch up one of the games to get a top 3, and without that top 3, we don't get that match point when on the next game. It's wild for how many things like technically went right and also went wrong for us. But I mean, yeah, I mean, even since from the beginning, I mean, obviously our winners, we dropped 137 points. We won our first 4 games pretty much just immediately. I mean, it's after that I kind of already knew that, I mean, that we were definitely gonna win tomorrow. I mean, with that type of dominance, like, come on, right? And then, I mean, yeah, overall, I feel great about this. I mean, I'm 2 out of 3 lands now for this split, and I mean, hopefully, I don't get first rounded again this time.
I was gonna say, starting off with that winner's performance, or I guess it would, yeah, the winner's performance. I'm sure you guys felt on top of the world, unstoppable. But was there? I need to know. Was there a reset? Did you guys text in the group chat like, okay, none of that matters now. It's all moving on to finals.
Oh yeah, I mean, even I believe you could even see it towards like the end of streams, or even during the games we were talking about. I know, like, boys, we're dominating this, but this does not matter at all. I mean, 10. It's just 10 points. We're going in tomorrow with, we're gonna go in tomorrow with knowing the expectations, or I guess the reward that comes out of the finals. I mean, obviously we all had jitters the first game. I mean, that obviously shows. But I mean, I'm glad that we finally carried it over during the second game and onwards. So I mean, you know.
All right, so let's get into that final moment of when you guys are in that 3v3. You get the first pick, and then at that point, it's like you got to know that like it's over, you won. Like, can you give us like a little bit of insight into what's going through your mind after you guys get that first pick, or just getting into that spot where you have a 3v3 to send yourself to LAN?
I mean, let's see. I mean, throughout the like entire 3v3, I mean, we kind of already knew that we were going to, especially like since we saved all of our, we had all 3 ults throughout the last fight, and I believe they only had Catwall, and that was it. So I mean, throughout, because I mean, we already knew what ults they wasted. I mean, we called it out even beforehand. We made sure Timmy saved his ults. I mean, I kind of already knew like during that fight that we were most likely going to win, especially with obviously we had the zone pull, we had the rock spot, we had everything pretty much. And also, I mean, me and Design are both 30-30s. Timmy's has a digi where you're like, I know you were totally fine throughout that, but especially since whenever we got that first knock and we walked up, the Design like screaming that we were going to land. I'm like, bro, come finish the fight first, and please, and then celebrate. And then and I mean, obviously the fight turned out the way it was. I got the second knock, and then the hype started going in because I mean we already knew Lou was already weak, and we just
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as soon as that zone pulled, it was automatically. I mean, there's no way we lose that unless obviously one of us is hard troll.
And just in that moment, the chances of you hard trolling are just 0.
No, yeah,
You're the most locked in you've ever been, right? You gotta be.
I mean, the comms are going crazy. the plays, the damage is going crazy. The shots. I mean, no way we were losing that, bro. We did not want to lose. I mean, it worked out for DNO anyway, so.
Oh, for sure. They were not. I believe Duke posted their POV, or I think Lou posted like when they realized, and I think Duke realized like as soon as like they lost, and like it was just those boys were mad excited, rightfully so, bro. As the other team going to LAN. So you mentioned you and Design on the Dirty 30. How, like, what about that gun is the reason that you guys both rock it, and how effective do you think it is having 2 of those on a team, especially 2 people who are as talented with it as you and Design are?
Oh, I mean, it's just the best. It's just the best, like, I guess, poking gun / like mid-range gun in the game right now. It's not even close. I mean, you can have 120 heavy or 2 stacks of heavy on it, and you're fine throughout the entire game. And you can do 57 max per body shot. I mean, plus with me and Design running 2, imagine 2 people shooting at you with a repeater constantly hitting for 50 plus damage. You're gonna instant die. Especially like how me and Design's DMRs are. I mean, it's just too good of a gun to not run.
So you're taking it over the scout?
Yeah, no, I have 100%. I mean, it's much more. It's much more ammo efficiency as well.
Mhm.
I mean, the scout can't do what the repeater can. By all means, the scout is. I mean, obviously, like equally as good in output of damage, but it's just ammo efficiency is what makes that gun like the superior gun of like all the other guns in the game.
Not to mention if you throw in a skull pierce on that, John, too. Like, yeah, like
Oh yeah,
dude,
bro,
it's
I
just-
forgot. It even has a skull piercer. I forgot about that too. Adding on top of that.
How
Oh my
how
God.
many fights do you guys start off with just you and Design dirty 30 knock
I think every fight.
everyone?
I think like 95% of our fights is usually opening up with Design hitting like some crazy 30-30 shot, or I'm hitting some crazy G7 shots. I mean, we never really open up our fight with some close range 3v3s. I think that only happens like during building fights, or like we're holding out some team, and that's about it.
okay, so
And so even against the Nemesis, how do you feel about it? Sorry,
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Because
Well,
the
Nemi's a hard
Nemi
one.
is like
That's
the
a hard
most
one.
broken gun in the game. It's just absolutely silly. And I feel like Timmy rocks one pretty much every game, which is like you got to have at least one. But do you guys ever feel like you're at a disadvantage fighting teams when they have 2 to 3 and you're double petered up?
I mean, I guess it just depends on our. I guess on our environment. I mean, I play poke a lot. I mean, I'm never really like out in the open of how like Timmy is ego channeling. I mean, ego channeling with the Nemesis is obviously like the best thing you can do.
Mhm.
But I mean, I play poke, so I mean, it's not like the Nemesis can really out trade me too much. So I mean, that's the only reason why I think, because that's how me and Design both play pretty much like the exact kind of identical way, at least in terms of starting a fight and like ending it.
Mhm.
So and we always poke throughout the beginning of the fight and then obviously at the end. So I mean, that's why I always would rather pick up a third. It just fits more of my style, you know, because I don't like ego channeling like that.
For sure.
You guys are both kind of rap players, is what that's what that sounds like. You get an
Yeah,
off angle,
it
you
works,
get
it
you get
works.
an off angle, try to get damage, and then you entry with that. Like that's what it sounds like.
I mean, that's just how you got to play the game. I mean, it's just the proper way. I mean, sure, you can deathball everybody, but I mean, I would rather win a 3v3 all being up than, you know, taking a chance
Oh,
of
I
one of
love
dying.
don't get it twisted. I love it. I love it a lot. I just think it's I think you guys do it like you guys all have pretty cracked shots, so I think it works really well, especially with y'all playing Edge, and that was one thing that I wanted to get into. A lot of those zones for finals were kind of weird. Like I at least I know 2 of them kind of pulled back weirdly. Did that affect y'all's gameplay at all, or do you think it really wasn't that big of a deal since you guys are already playing that kind of Edge style?
I mean, the couple of nerf zones that we had, especially I mean, since we mostly played World's Edge and it pulled mostly towards like the climatizer survey side. I mean, it definitely. I definitely like kind of screwed us over a little bit on our silo because I called the wrong zones. I think like 3 times throughout the World Edge games, which I mean that was the only reason why I would say yeah those type of zones did have an effect on us. But usually no. I mean usually whenever I call we have our normal play, we have our normal routine, our normal rotations, our normal fights. We know who we're fighting. We know what type of loot we're fighting. So I mean not really. It doesn't really matter. We're really the zone. We understand what like we're going against. It's usually mostly just up to me if I call the wrong zone, and it kind of screws everything over.
Can you give everybody a bit of the insight on the roles that everybody plays on the team? Because obviously, like you guys are one of the like an exceptionally good fighting team, but it really seems like you guys run your team a little bit differently than other teams out there who have like a hard set IGL. Because as you just got into, you do zones, but typically Timmy's is considered your guys' main IGL. And so can you just give us a little bit of insight on your team dynamics and how it differs from most of the teams out there and how it leads to your guys' success?
I mean, I guess the best comparison I can do with our team would probably be like the old Optic roster of Noct, Dupe, and Skittle. You know, how you had 2 IGLs, Noct, then also putting out ideas. That's pretty much like the best way I can explain our team. I mean, Design's usually the main fragger between me and him. I mean, Timmy's also. I mean, I would even call Timmy one of our frag. I mean, you can't exactly put a hard role on the fragger role or even the support because sometimes I'm in the back, sometimes Timmy's in the back, sometimes Design's in the back. I mean, it's just like there's not exactly role besides the IGLing role. Obviously, Timmy usually controls our macro, usually our macro, and then Design usually controls like he's actually been hard controlling our end games a lot. Also, but they both bounce ideas off each other, and then whenever they both argue, I just say whatever idea is better, and we go with it. because I mean obviously when you have a third person point of view,
For sure.
you can't disagree.
Would you say that because you guys have sort of like those responsibilities so well spread out that you guys are never in like a bad spot because of how adaptable you guys are as players?
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say that. I mean, we still have a lack of experience as well as a team. And we only been together for like the last 2 months, and obviously we're still playing from new POIs. So there's obviously a lot of situations where we are a little lackluster, a little cluttered. We're yelling at random things. But obviously we're a new team. We're fixing that up. Obviously we've shown what we can do when we play perfectly.
So getting into that a little bit more, you guys have I feel like I don't want to say target on your back, but this team definitely has a little bit more popularity to it. There's a reason why a lot of people are looking at this team, and it's because Timmy, he's here, he's IGLing, he was a content creator, he's tried this thing a few times in the past, it didn't go his way, but he has showed up, he has IGL'd to the best of his ability, he's dropping crazy kills, he's dropping crazy clips in lobbies that just don't make any sense, taking 1v3s, doing all this other stuff. It's just it's incredible to watch. And I think for anybody out there who's like, like this got to be one of the best stories going into champs, is just a content creator turning into someone who can possibly win a championship. From your perspective, having Timmy as an IGL and having him as a teammate, what separates him from all of the other teammates you've maybe had, or just makes him different in his own way?
Oh, it's just confidence. That's all it is. That's what determines every player in this game. Is purely just his confidence. He doesn't care if he's going against a roller player. Doesn't care if he's going against pure aimbot. It doesn't matter. It's just purely his confidence and his understanding of the game. You should see it. You just see the work that dude puts in outside of the game, even alone. Especially with Bronzy. Bro, he from what he was to now, it's night and day. It's just complete night and day. He puts in more hours than most of these pros, bro. And this dude doesn't even play this game professionally.
Yeah, and we've talked about how a lot of the pros in this scene sometimes seem a little lazy, seem a little lax. What are some of the stuff he's working on with Bronzy? Like, what's some of the stuff what's some of that work he's putting in other than just, showing up and shredding people?
Mostly just like how to, I would say, I guess, approach like situations of like when we need to fight, how we should fight, if we need to fight this, do we want to fight this, what type of loot we have to fight this, what type of loot does the other team have to fight this. And also most of our rotations, like our checkpoint like evacs, if you have seen those, that was usually Bronzy. Bronzy has come up with a lot of rotations for us too, helping with Timmy. We also come up with our own rotations. Also Design knows how to play from thermal, but obviously learning from checkpoint, Bronzy's helped us a lot understanding. But
And having Design there is another thing too, because Design has a career resume of his own. He was IGL during the G2 times. He was obviously very big at that moment. Have you, like, between him and Timmy, has there been any like disagreements? And well, I'm sure there's been disagreements, but how do they work those kind of things out where they're kind of balancing the IGL role? Because when you're watching it in game, it seems like they're kind of going back and forth between who's taking control at that moment. Like, how do they balance that off camera, off the game? Like, what's that entire dynamic like?
Oh, like I said earlier, majority of the IGL role, does go to Timmy. But whenever like Design does put out a lot of ideas, it's just also in his nature. He's been doing that for like a year and a half, 2 years. But still, it's even like they bounce ideas off each other, and then obviously if they completely start arguing, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this play because I just think it's better. There's no question. We just do it. If we die, unfortunate. It's as simple as that. Timmy does take majority of the role because that's just what Timmy likes to do. But it's pretty split. You can see most of the time I'm usually calling like which play we should decide or which play we should do, and it ends up usually working out.
That's just a crazy dynamic because it's so much different than like what we typically see, but it's working for you guys. 137 points is absolutely insane, and you guys were like just shredding the entire tournament. It's crazy to see, and honestly, maybe we might see more teams try to adopt this type of style. In the other style, have like do you prefer playing in this type of style more, or do you kind of like having that, firm IGL at the top?
I mean, expecting one person to do all the work is little too much, unless like it's Sweet. I mean, I think Sweet's the only person who can like should be like that guy. I mean, even Hal doesn't 100% take over his entire team. You have Evan calling plays sometimes. You have Rebs calling plays sometimes. It's just you have to have a team that's able to make their own, I guess, ideas and feed information, or I mean, to even call out like, "Hey, we need to do this," because they see an opening, Because I mean, sometimes one person can't see everything. By all means, they can be fed a bunch of information, but I mean, visualizing or being able to see like what his other teammates can, it's just like you need to have other people to be able to call stuff. You just can't strictly stick to one person. It works. It works for NRG because Sweet is just that guy. But everyone else, I mean, I firmly believe that you should be able to have multiple teammates call out different things. And obviously, if you have a disagreement, just have one other person be able to agree. Like, hey, I think we should do this, and just agree with that. Don't argue with that.
Yeah, I think that's super
Yeah.
strong. Like that, I think that it makes a complete team because I mean, a lot of people use the example of TSM, like Reps could be an IGL, was at the very, very beginning. And then obviously Evan's very, very intelligent, just for an example, right? So like, and that team's had a lot of success. So therefore, what you're saying is like super right. And it's kind of wild because it feels like you guys were exceptionally better than most teams that were playing in challengers, like by a large margin. Do you think that is because of team camaraderie, or do you think like it's just a combination of a lot of things? Does that make sense? Like what
Well, I mean,
makes it where you guys were able to absolutely pop off and do a 136 whenever like the closest was 46, right, or something like that? Something absolutely bonkers. Like what?
That's just like absurd.
Yeah, like that is like a.
You guys are absurd at the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like that doesn't just happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's maybe a culmination of like experience or like just the right time, right place with the zone calls. Like was it just a perfect day of Apex for y'all, or what is it that like makes y'all so special to be running the LCQ?
I mean, I would mostly argue that it would have to do with a lot of also experience. I mean, me and Design have been playing this game for years. I mean, this is now going to be my second LAN that I'm heading to, and I mean, even the first Pro League split, I was like top 4 in kills. And I would definitely say it's a lot of obviously our experience and our understanding of the game, and just Timmy, and it's also like each individual skill. I mean, not to like be egotistical, but I mean, we were obviously better mechanically than pretty much everybody in LCQ besides maybe like at most maybe text team. That's about it. But I mean, it's just definitely due to a lack of experience with those teams, and I mean, it's just how it is.
I'm just going to say a stat real quick just for its absurdity. This isn't even a question. I'm just going to say a stat. 82 kills. The next highest was 33. Dude, that's insane. Like that's a different planet. That's a different galaxy. That's like what were you guys on? Like what 82 kills?
I don't know. After the first game, and then our kind of mid second game, we just said screw it. We're aping everything, bro. We don't care.
I mean, were the lobbies just different? Like, I mean, you have a lot of experience. Like, you know what these lobbies are like typically. Were people just playing differently? Like, was it just like what was happening?
I mean, I don't know, man. In game 4, Northhead, we had 5 teams landing in our building. We killed all of them. I can't explain it to you, bro. We were just on a different level that day as well. I definitely do admit we were playing out of our minds. That was definitely some of the best Apex we ever played. I don't think any team would have been able to stop us for how well we were coming together and how well we were taking angles together. And we also did get lucky that we just ran into a lot of edge or what's it called ISO fights.
So now that you have officially qualified for LAN and Pro League, of course, but LAN's first, what are your plans on some contests? Are we going to see some contests, maybe some landing? Where you guys have a cemented spot yet, or you still cooking up some stuff or what? Is that on the deal?
Well, definitely contest the alliance all throughout the entire thing. I will figure out how we're gonna approach that. We don't want to troll scrims, so who knows? Maybe we call them up, see if they want to do customs or whatever. But yeah, we're definitely gonna contest thermal. Our starting point, we're going to try to find a POI that's usually free. I mean, I think right now we're landing fish farms for 2 of our games and then checkpoint on one. I mean, I personally I believe it's troll to contest for 2 POIs and try to claim 2 POIs at the same time. You're putting way too much RNG into that and putting way too much luck into each of your games. You at least want to have one section of your games to be like, okay, we may have lost, all 3 of our, but we still have these 3 games that we decide for ourselves now.
Oh, I'm ready for the.
But 100% the alliance.
Oh, I'm
contest is
ready
coming
for
in,
the
baby.
alliance contest. Just know that.
I can't wait to see my boy Effect. I love that dude. That's my brother right there.
Okay, so you guys. All right, I'm gonna go back to LCQ just a tad because like you guys are popping off, absolutely rolling the lobbies. From a play style perspective, how much more enjoyable is it to play, given the play style you have now compared to the play style that you used to be playing in the past, where you were on an early rotate, like gray armored up, getting into zone?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really exactly. I would say I have a preference of like enjoyment, but I mean, I definitely believe that I'm meant to be on at least the hybrid style or mostly on the edge style. I mean, I believe every team should always be able to play hybrid. If you don't, I think you're just trolling. But I do enjoy playing the edge style. Or I believe I should be on the edge style more than what I was on the on my zone team when I was in with Oxygen. It's just so much more enjoyable to not sit in a building for 15 minutes with white armors and then die to a team who has all red for some reason.
That's fair, especially when you're as talented as a player as you are. Because I'm not gonna lie, there was like a time where like a few years ago where I was like, oh, like it's enemy, like it happens. And then there was a time like, because like I remember there was a time where it used to be where I feel like I would win most of my fights against you, to the point where I was just like, dang, like enemy been putting in that work. Like there was like a period within the last like 2 years where you really just got and unleashed like a different level of a player, and it's been cool to watch. And now with the team that you're on now, it's nice to be able to see you showcase how talented of a player you've developed into.
I appreciate that. It makes me a little sentimental right now. I mean, it's been one long journey, bro.
Dude, okay, long journey. So can you give us a little bit of background and insight from you, like getting into gaming to getting into Apex, and then your journey as just somebody who is getting into Apex to where you're at today? Because you've had like a fairly long journey, and you've like played comp for a while. I remember you back on the ESA team with Cruz back when he was my roommate. You've got a pretty great story, and I think everybody would love to hear it.
I mean, I guess I'll just start from the very, very beginning. I mean, I've been playing games since I was like 3 years old. I've always been naturally talented, even at that type of age. Like for what that age was, I was always naturally talented. I was like always the equivalent of playing at like adult, like at what an adult should be at like a kid age. I mean, and then especially obviously, as things grow, I play more and more. I never really played competitively ever. I tried Fortnite competitive back, but like when it was popular. Obviously that didn't turn out really well. I mean, but then again, I didn't even take that seriously at the time. I played the first season of Apex whenever, because I think I got into it because of Dizzy. I watched a game of his. I'm like, damn, this game's pretty sick. Played a game of it. Played the first season of it. Enjoyed it. Loved it. But then Fortnite like became like really in its prime, because it was like season 2, season 3 Fortnite, season 4 Fortnite. That was like That was the prime stuff right there. The enjoyment right
Some
there.
of the best time
But then-
in gaming.
Yeah,
Period. Like
that was
one
bro.
of
The amount of
peak.
time I would skip like school days just to play with my homie, bro. Like that was the peak. Like that was honestly the most fun I ever had gaming. I would say I had more fun than like playing Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2 Zombies with my boy. I was like, oh my god, Prime Fortnite was just it.
Something
But then
else.
obviously, yeah. I mean, I eventually, I tried taking that game competitively whenever it was like in like season 8. I didn't enjoy the game too much. Hop back on in season 4 of Apex with a couple of my uncles because they said, "Hey, I mean, like we're getting into it," and then I eventually started hard playing the game, and then like me and my uncles started grinding rank together. I eventually hit like diamond with them, and then they really like they were like stuck at plat. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do this on my own, and then I eventually solo queued my way up to masters in like season 4, which is like my first time coming back in the game. I think it was what season 4 would technically be like a year of the game being out, or like 9 months roughly about that. But solo queued my way up to masters in like season 4, and this is my console days right now, by the way. And then played the game for 4 seasons. Met up my boys with Chaotic, Funk, Yaz, bro. All the console homies are the only reason why I'm here. I love those dudes for the rest of my life, bro. Man, those guys are. I'm so glad that I see most of them too to this day, like farming right now, especially like Funk, especially Chaotic, doing good with the streams. Man, it's loving to see those.
No,
see them do
that's
well.
like what you just described, like what I feel like people commonly refer to as like the new wave of like roller players, because like you had like
even Shuby, bro.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
Shuby, like
too.
all you boys, it's cool.
Yeah, and then I switched over season 8. Solo queued for a while, played with the boys for some time. I think like Funk was still on or like Funk, Yaz, Chaotic, my boys were still on console. Chaotic eventually came over. Obviously we played a bit. But I eventually met Capra back in like season 9, season 10. Me and Capra are the OGs, bro. Me and him have been duo queuing for the last like three or 4 seasons of like since like season 9 to like season 13. We created each other, and I'm gonna love that dude for the rest of my life. As much as like the controversial stuff that he's been doing. I mean, that's I can't deteriorate the stuff that me and him have gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dude for the rest of my life. That's my brother for the rest of my life. I don't care what he does. He created me, I created him, and I'll forever be thankful. He's one of the reasons why I'm here. His passion that he puts into this game, it's like I love his work ethic. I just wish he did. I wish he's a little more mentally stable, but hey, he's still my brother. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now all that stuff happened. I eventually started grinding ranked by myself with other people, and I eventually like met Noko, and the rest of the even started meeting you, Sweet, and the rest of the boys. Grind ranked, and then eventually Crook and Hill noticed that like I believe they needed a third at the time because it was past the last LCQ where they eventually, which unfortunately where they got that like 28-point comeback by E8 with Presley and the boy. Bro,
that was a story.
That was a story. That was something. But yeah, I mean, after that, without that happening, I technically wouldn't have started my comp career because I mean, they had to eventually drop Saz. They picked me up, and obviously the rest is history. We played our pro league, went to LAN, eventually split up after because we performed very poorly, and I also wasn't really enjoying playing with them too much. But that's a whole different topic. I'm not gonna go into that. But yeah, I mean, eventually Timmy hit me up, and now now we're here.
Okay. So I've got a lot, but okay. 1, you went to Rewired Fest in Arkansas, which I'm not saying it was a joke. It was kind of a joke of a land. But we did get to meet there, which is tight. I was going to ask, do you have any funny stories from being in Arkansas at all? And then did you enjoy it any bit at all from that land?
I don't know. I mean, I just enjoyed hanging out with the boys. I mean, I think that was my first time. It might have been my first time seeing them. Yeah, that was my first time seeing them, and I mean, it was just a bonding experience. I mean, the LAN. I mean, I got winning the LAN was fun, but I mean, come on. That was I think we had a 14-team lobby, bro.
It was like 14 teams and then like 6 teams from Arkansas college students that just showed up. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, bro, that's not a land, man.
That
I can't talk
no,
about
yeah,
that,
it was basically just a
bro.
hangout and then play a little bit of Apex is essentially what it was. I wanted to do a little, not a game, maybe it's a game, more so just factual information. You were born in 2005, which is pretty insane for me to think about. So I wanted to make the people that are also old feel old. And so I looked up on Google things that came out in 2005. So,
2005,
yeah, he can't.
dude.
Yeah, he was born in 2005. Yeah, if you feel old, like you are, okay.
I'm buying a
So,
coffin after this interview is over.
dude, it's crazy.
Jesus.
So,
Good God.
a few things is one, you could be like, yes, I remember this, or like, yes, I know what this is, or I've seen it, or whatever. Okay, that's basically what I'm going to ask
Okay.
you. All right. Well, just a really crazy fact: YouTube came out was started whenever you were born, so that's nuts. It came out in 2005. Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani came out. Gold Digger by Kanye West. American Idiot by Green Day was one of the highest
Banger.
albums sold of the year. So, do you know any or are relevant any of? Yeah, do you know any of those songs?
Do you know what YouTube is?
Personally, no, I wouldn't say I really know. I don't think I didn't really grow up with music like that. I didn't really like start like hard listening to music until I was like what 13.
Okay, so you
14,
don't
so
know Holla
14,
Back
14.
Girl, Gold
You
Digger,
guys know
or
Holla
American
Back Girl?
Idiot?
No, I did
Oh
not.
my
No.
gosh. Okay. Yeah.
I never heard of him.
Okay.
Dude, I feel
I feel old as shit.
I remember like being around older people and them listening to like their music that they enjoyed and it being like, oh, like I have no idea. And now like the music that I used to listen to is that for some people. And that's just
Isn't that crazy?
Enoch was cranking Holla Back Girl, bro.
Yeah.
At
no, I
lacrosse
mean not
practice.
that. I'm just thinking. I was just saying like songs that were like popular.
Yeah. That is wild, dude.
I remember Holla Back Girl on.
2005.
This is how old I am. I remember listening to that on Jumpstart and MTV before I went to school in the morning. That's whenever MTV actually played music. So funny. Okay.
2005 was the best year of my life, by the way. Just a side note. I just remember every day of 2005. I'm like, this year is awesome. I love 2005. So shout out. Shout out 2005.
Here's some movies. If you've seen these, this would be awesome to hear. 1, Batman Begins. 2, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wedding.
Yeah, I watched.
You've
all
seen
the,
both of those so far. Okay.
Yeah, I watched all the Batman series, and then
Okay, and then Wedding Crashers.
It sounds familiar.
It sounds familiar.
Crashers.
King Kong came out. Okay,
Never
Harry
watched it.
Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
I never watched any Harry
Okay,
Potter series.
Chronicles of Narnia. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. No.
Never
Okay,
heard of it.
all right. And then Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith came out.
I've watched all
There
the
we
Star Wars
go.
series.
Dude, Star
All right,
Wars
that's good
Episode
stuff.
3 was fire.
That one was so sick,
One of the
dude.
best. One of the best.
That might have been
I need to
why
rewatch
2005 was so sick for me. Was that movie came out, and I just remember being a
And it
kid
just
in the
every
theaters.
single day it just hit for you.
Yeah, just every day I was just like, dude, Star Wars came out this year, bro. This is awesome. That might have been it. That might have been the reason.
Could have been.
2005, man.
Star Wars was fire.
Dude, that's wild. That is crazy. Finn, hit him with the double tap.
Yeah, I might as well hit you with the double tap. So essentially what I'll say is a statement or a word or something, and then you just respond with one word if you can, or two. Some people do more than just one, but I'll just hit you back with multiple statements, and then you just say it with one word. You ready?
Wait.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, so
okay.
okay, let me explain it better. So I'm going to say 5 different statements, and then you'll just respond with one word to whatever's the first thing that comes to your mind. You say it. All right, you
Okay.
ready?
Okay,
Number 1, Prowler meta.
Peak.
Number 2, Apex Twitter beef.
Unnecessary.
Number 3, contesting at LAN.
Needed.
Number 4, best legend in the game.
Horizon.
Number 5, Team Dojo. The Dojo.
Beautiful.
Nice. That's great.
There we go.
Well
There
said.
we go. I got a quick question for you here now, because we got this LCQ business out of the way. It's all said and done now. Now it's eyes on the prize, the big prize, champs. You guys are going, and you're not facing LCQ teams anymore. These are the big boys. These are the guys who've been putting in the work, a lot of them for many years, some of the biggest names in the game, some of the biggest names in gaming right now, to be honest with you. A lot of just very big teams, very big players, and it's not going to be probably as easy as it is. If you guys put up another 82 kills and that, I have nothing to say, and you know what, you guys are the greatest, but it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. Have you guys had conversations about your mindset, what you guys want to do better as a team going into this? Like, any conversation at all just about how you want to approach champs, because now LCQ is gone, it's done, it's dusted, you're moving on to the next part of it.
No, yeah, I mean, even throughout our LCQ, even before finals, I mean, we even talked about, like, boys, we understand, like, this is not even close to what we're going to be competing in, like, the next few months, or, you know, if we make LAN, obviously, whatever at LAN. But I mean, this is completely different. So I mean, obviously, we did a lot of things that even Timmy says this, like, he plays to the lobby. He understands. He knows he's better than, like, you know, majority of the LCQ teams. So he did a lot of, like, what would be considered very stupid plays, but it would work because it's just LCQ teams and their lack of experience. But we understand what we're going to be going at. I mean, me and Design obviously understand what we're going against. I mean, I played it at a LAN. I know what it's like. I understand pop off moments and what you need to do. I like it's. I know it's going to be definitely completely two different things, but I'm feeling fairly confident. I mean, I've done it before. I'll do it again.
And so the ultimate goal is obviously to win the entire thing, get there. But have you guys discussed any other goals, maybe, you know, just for your first run at it, your first go at it? Has there been any other goals that you guys have set? Just be like, if we can at least get here, I think moving into the next year, we will be, you know, looking good, and maybe we'll have some more time under our belt as a team. And, you know, Timmy will have some more experience. Is there any other goals, or is just, we're just trying to win this thing and that's it?
I mean, I haven't talked to them. I don't know what their expectations are at LAN. My expectation is that we just reach finals. I don't care if we get 20th. I don't care if we get first. I just want finals. That's personally what I want. Yeah, that's my, like, my entire goal. I don't care if I perform horribly in finals. I just need to get to finals. That is the main goal. That will determine everything for us as well.
Just make it to Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just to be able to call for everything. I mean, if we call for that, I mean, we understand that we're, you know, one of the top teams. I mean, automatically we're one of the top 20 teams if we make finals.
You guys got that.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm feeling very confident, but that's only determining on, do we get our POIs? No, the POIs determine everything. That's just the whole game. That's sadly just the game that we play. That you can't just landslide and win from there.
You've got to be confident in your contesting abilities, though. I mean, you don't
100%.
you don't play like you guys just did. And can't walk away from this tournament not feeling nice heading into these contests.
No, yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, Zion's been contesting thermal for years. I've been contested at multiple POIs while being in his own team and winning them. Yeah, we'll be fine. Hopefully.
All right, Enoch, if you want to hit yours.
Yeah. So before I ask my question, I just want to say that I personally, now that obviously, like, I don't have my team going to LAN, and so the team I'm rooting for is up for grabs, and I just want y'all to know that. And I told Design the same thing today. I'm so excited to see how you guys do. From the day that me and Design, like, had our, like, split when we had to let him go from the team, just the fact that you guys, like, literally within the same day, he was scrimming with you guys and you guys were popping off doing your thing. I was so excited to see where you guys would go and how good of a team you guys would become. And you guys are on your way to LAN. I'm super excited, and I genuinely am very much looking forward to seeing how you guys do. And I definitely will be considering myself a dojo supporter for sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
We gotta make sure their Design's revenge story is great.
It's gotta be. You guys gotta win it. I mean, you guys will definitely make it to finals for sure.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so getting into the question is the question that I ask everybody, and you are, because the question, like, every interview we have people who are performing in the top 1% of the field that they're performing in, and you are certainly in that case, like, non-debatable now after you stamped your pass to land for a second time. What would be one piece of advice that you could give somebody that has helped you get to the level you're at, that somebody could take, and regardless of the field that they're trying to become like the top 1% in, that would be able to help them get there?
Motivation and passion do not matter. It's all about discipline. That's all it is. That is the only thing I can possibly say. If you want it, you want it. You'll earn it. If you work hard enough, you can be just like Hal. You can be just like Sweet. You can be just like how Guild is. You can be, I mean, look at even Koifel. Man wanted it. He earned it. In a matter of a month, he surpassed top players who've been trying to do this for years. The only reason he's there is just because he wanted it more than most people. He practiced every day. He's just disciplined. He understands. It's the same thing that goes for me. I play every day. At least I try to play every day. I try to enjoy the game as much as I can. I try to learn as much as I can from my mistakes. And it's just as simple as you have to have discipline, and you have to want it more than the person in front of you.
Okay, and I got one last question. Typically, that is my last one. But it's something that Design touched on when we had him on, and it's like your guys' ability to play together as effectively as you do. What about it from your perspective made, like, when Design became available, that made him like your number one pick and somebody that you knew you guys were going to play well together? And then how that's translated to how well you guys play as a team currently?
I mean, as soon as he was available, I immediately pushed him because, I mean, he was the most experienced free agent, and also he comes with a POI of Thermal, so I couldn't pass him what I did. I need my POIs.
He does have the deeds, I believe, is what
he owns the land.
He's proclaimed to everybody.
I mean, he's mechanically, he's smart. He comes with a POI. I mean, why would you not want him? I mean, bro, Timmy was eager on picking him up. I'm like, bro, we don't pick this dude up. We're trolling. And, look at us.
Now look at you now.
You guys play phenomenally well together. It's super fun to watch.
Yeah, and there's going to be plenty more games for us to watch when we watch you guys at Champs. I'm sure a lot of eyeballs are going to be on you guys, and everybody's going to be pulling for you because you guys are just an interesting team all the way around. It's just a fun team to watch, and I'm personally rooting for 82 kills again. I want that to happen. I want to see that happen. I think that there would be nothing better for this scene than to see Timmy, Enemy, and Design drop 82 kills on all the greatest players in the world. I am personally rooting for that. So, Enemy, thanks for hopping on the show, man. It has been just a great interview. Thank you for your time. And we're going to be watching you from far, and hopefully the next time you come back on the show, you'll have a little trophy in that trophy case for us.
Thank you. I appreciate the high expectations of me, but I'm not gonna promise you that.
No, I don't expect a promise. I just want to see it. And I know you guys have it in you. So yeah, man. Once again, thanks, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, much love for having me. Have a good night, guys.
All right, that was the dojo's very own Enemy. Thanks to Enemy for hopping on the show. We really appreciate it. Great interview. Hopefully we'll have him back on soon because I think they're going to do well. I actually do think they're going to do well. I think my ceiling for them is making it to Sunday. My floor is obviously not. I think that's pretty simple. It can go either way. I kind of want to see what Timmy does as far as an IGL in like those lobbies. I want to see how that goes. But I'm very excited for the dojo. I'm sure a lot of people are excited for the dojo. It's just a very interesting team to follow. You've got the longtime pro, you've got the fresh-faced content creator, and then you've got the absolute demon who's just ready to kill anything that he sees. So I'm very excited to watch the dojo, as I'm sure all of you guys are. Okay, getting into looks like we have some ranked updates. Not really, kind of. There are some. They released a blog post that we can talk a little bit about here. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's very lengthy, and I'm sure you guys have already seen it. But I'm just going to read the.
You think that they watch? You think that they
What
go, dude? When I was a casual of a game, I read a single patch note. I read a single release. I just hopped on, turned the thing on, and I was just gaming.
Listen, I think that's very valid, but I will say, as casuals, I feel like we read the patch notes almost more than the pros sometimes. Might be a bold statement, but here's what we do. This is what happens, right? You're at work. Your buddy calls you. You're like, oh shit, I'm going to go to the bathroom and talk to him on the phone. You put in your headphones. You're like, bro, you see the patch notes? You're like, no, what happened? And then you guys just sit on the phone for like 45 minutes just talking about like, oh, dude, that could be crazy. And you just think every single change is really cool. And then you just like, damn, dude, I think I'm going to switch my legend this season. And then you just talk about that. Casuals do that every single season. They do read the patch notes. I promise you that. Maybe not like, play once a week type casuals. The way I view a casual is they play consistently. They're just not very good. Is that like a fair assessment? Like they're consistently playing. They're just not
I think
good at
that
it.
they're in that umbrella for sure. I think
Yeah.
there's different forms of casual, I think.
Yeah, because I still remember like getting the call from my friends for every patch note, especially, I don't know why this one stands out in my head so much, but the season 5 patch note. I just remember my friend calling me and we were on the phone for 2 hours. I was cleaning pools at the time. That was my job. And I was legit on the phone for 2 hours just talking about these patch notes. So yeah, I think casuals love the patch notes. They love them. They might have read this entire thing. This one was also a lot of words though, so maybe not. But I will summarize it for everybody who didn't read it. Season 18 and beyond, the team has been hard at work digging into Arsenal's data, working to address known bugs and refining the ranked system further. If you've made it this far, thanks for your time. Here is a quick recap. So this is the recap of what they want. Decreasing overall LP gains per match to combat the overall shift in the rank distribution. Adding a rule set that only applies to Diamond Plus to properly dial in the top of the ladder. Players in these ranked tiers will have increased stakes and losses and decreased rating bonuses and loss mitigations. Be ready to put it all on the line. Adding a minimum elimination bonus increase based on the player's MMR and buffing elimination bonus in general. Elimination should always be a contributor to your rank. Increasing action in the ring by adjusting ring damage, adjusting ring timings to create more mid-game encounters and less pre-finale lulls, and finally, updating matchmaking to better handle players that are actively challenging their MMR for more competitively challenging matches that mirror their ranking. So that is the summarized thing. This entire blog post has no specifics in it. It's more, this is what we want. This is our idea. This is what we plan on doing. But there's no like actual structure yet. They put it out there to let everyone know that they're working on it. They know it's an issue. They know it's a problem. They want to make it better. As far as I can tell, the one thing that stood out to me that I was very excited about was Diamond Plus ranking changes. I had already said that I felt like players who were in that tier and above should be playing at a different rule set because those are the cream of the crop and everybody else is kind of, either casual or casual adjacent in some way, shape, or form. I think it's a very good idea to have it to where those ranks are playing at different, losses and gains based on their games because they mean more for you to rank up and do all that type of stuff. So I was really happy with that. Enoch, overall, what did you see? Was there anything that stood out to you? And how are you feeling going into hopefully it's next season's ranked?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the new rank season. I think the increased penalties for losing is gonna hopefully go a long way in terms of making people play more careful. Because when you have the chance to lose heavy, you're not just going to be running around entering everything because you get a certain amount of negatives in a row where it's really going to start to hurt. And if you're somebody who's genuinely trying to get a high rank, you're not going to just be trying to like drop a 30 bomb every single game. But who knows? It could end up like that. But for the most part, I'm really looking forward to the MMR being a little bit more tightened because like right now everybody's a Masters. But even though the fact that everybody's a Masters, you'll still run into like plat and gold players who are like, "Why are you in my lobby?" And it's like, bro, I just queued up. There's like a million Masters for me to match with. How am I getting little gold 3 Andy over here? Like, what's going on? But that's going to be fixed, hopefully. But one thing I will say about this rank season, and I'm probably going to tweet about it, but hideouts and the boys at security, they've been having it on lock. I feel like I've rarely ran into any cheater at all. And like, sure, like the rank system isn't the best, but man, I've gotten aimbotted like such like maybe like once or twice all season. That is wild. And I don't think people have given them enough credit for the drastic difference that there's been. The fact that like you can play ranked all day and not just get cheated on in a good percentage of your game. Like we used to play Apex Legends where there was like a 30% chance you were going to run into an aim back, like an aim hacker. And we just don't live in those days anymore. Hopefully they don't come back, especially with rank getting better. Hopefully. And yeah, I'm super optimistic for the next season. I definitely think I'll be grinding it. I think it'll be like the first time I've grinded Pred in a while. I've been taking like the last few seasons off, just not really been about the grind and like aiming for Pred. But I think I'm going to be putting in some time. And so it'll be fun. I'm excited and we'll see how things go.
Beautiful. Perfect. Okay, well, ladies and gents, we are going to round out the show with the heart to heart. So let's hit a quick ad and get into the heart to heart. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart to heart time. Heart to heart time. Does anybody want to go first? No?
I can go first.
Hit it.
Man, I am just grateful because I just feel like I got like, even though I haven't been like the most up I've ever been before, I'm incredibly thankful that I have what I have. And I just know I have so much waiting for me in the future, especially if I do what I know I need to do each and every day and showing up and just keeping my energy right and then working towards the future that I'm building. And it's definitely going to take some time, but it's definitely going to be worth it all. And man, like when I just think about everything that I got going on, I'm just grateful. And so when I just keep centered on that and allowing that to be like my grounding emotion as I go through my day, it makes all of the stuff that would typically like make me mad just not matter nearly as much, because it's just at the end of the day, like it doesn't change the fact that I'm going to become the person I'm going to become and I'm going to do all the things that I'm going to do. And if there are a little bit of bumps along the way, it's not like, it's kind of pointless to just get all twisted about it, because I just have so much to be thankful for. And like, if you can't be thankful for something and pissed off at the same time. And so if I just focus on being more like centered in gratitude, there's a lot of negative emotional grievances that I just avoid. And it's a choice on where I want to place my attention and energy. And like stuff is still going to happen. Like I'm still going to have like annoying stuff that's going to go on, but like I don't have to like get it as mad as I used to. And so I'm just grateful.
That's good, man. I like that. I like that a lot. I'll go next, and mine isn't really like a heart to heart. It's more just a thought I was having recently, and I just wanted to share this thought with you guys. Like, this generation is going to be very interesting because if you think about it, our grandkids will be able to see how we talked, our mannerisms and our interactions, because so much of our life has been recorded, especially us. Like Isn't that crazy to think about? Like, we never
Or your
got to see this.
grandkid listening to your podcast.
Yeah, like, isn't that weird? Because like, you think about your great grandfather or like your ancestors, like deep, 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 and you're just like, oh, okay, you know, like you see a picture, you see a still frame, black and white photo, you're like, oh, that doesn't really show me. Like, for us, it'll be like way different. Like, they're gonna actually see like how our eyes moved around, how we moved our hands, how we talked. Like,
You're gonna be able
that's
to go
crazy
back
to
and look at
think
your
about.
tweets.
I was thinking about that right now. Yeah, yeah. And dude, I got some bangers. You'll be like, damn,
Or your exes.
great granddad had some bangers. Yeah, some X's. Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. I think that's just like super interesting, weird to think about. That like our whole mannerisms, all of it, they're gonna be able to see it.
It
Isn't
is
that
weird.
crazy?
Yeah, I haven't actually thought about that, but yeah, I don't even know any information on my great grandpa really. Like I could, and I probably could, but I would only find pictures or two or three things, right? But now your generations can now see, unless the
Yeah,
internet
and
gets deleted or something. But like,
it's just all archived now. Like, it's always there. Like, if they were to look up, like if my great grandkids were able to look up like Wyatt Babb, it would be, you would just see like this stuff show up. And even if you couldn't see my face, at the very least you could see the audio versions of whatever I've posted, and they would know what my voice sounded like, how, like, just the words I used. Not a great vocabulary, to be honest. They might be a little disappointed in that. But there's just a lot, like, I don't know. I thought that was super interesting and cool, because even like my dad, you'd get a lot of pictures of my dad, but you're not going to get like videos. You're not going to get like audio. You're just going to get like the pictures. But I don't know. I just thought that was super cool and interesting. And, you know, it'll be like a different kind of footprint that we all leave, that I think in generations past didn't really have that opportunity. The closest thing you had before this was like when, you know, the photograph was first invented. And then before that, what they would do is they would hire people to paint them. But, you know, like, that's just somebody else's interpretation of what they look like. Now it's like, this is a foolproof, this is what we look like. This is it. This is how we talk. This is what we did. This is what we said, how we moved. I don't know. I just thought that was super cool. That's my heart to heart this week, because I don't really have like anything else that was significant other than just me having a profound thought while Enoch was talking. I don't know how it even spurned from that, but that's what I got. Finn.
okay, mine's also not really. I mean, I don't know. It's for everybody on the pod, kind of. But I was gonna mention this because this is something that we are coming up on 1 year as a podcast, which is next episode. It would have been a year since we started our podcast, which is pretty wild to think about. And we've done pretty well. What we're at, let's see, we're at 48 right now. No, we're at 49 episodes. This will be 50.
50.
And so that means we realistically missed like 2 or 3 weeks throughout this year, which is
pretty baller of us.
that is pretty
And it was always
impressive.
holidays.
Yeah, it was either yeah, exactly. And like, that's pretty insane. And I'll probably go more in depth as long as I remember that this next week is like our literal 1 year anniversary of our podcast. But like realistically thinking about that is pretty insane. That being said, that's not what my heart to heart really is. My heart to heart was going to say that we are going to be starting a GoFundMe. And for those that are wanting to potentially help, we are wanting to go to Champs. And I think that would be super sick if we could get the whole podcast to be able to get fundraised to be able to go to Birmingham, which they just announced this week is one of the reasons why. Birmingham. Yeah, why can go and get more jerseys for soccer teams.
Dude, so, I'm definitely defecting and watching a game somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but we are wanting to potentially maybe look into some sponsorships and also do a GoFundMe. We are open to do whatever. If you are interested, if you have listened to this part, if you're listening to our heart to hearts, you're probably pretty invested into our show. And one, we want to say thank you for that. But then two, if you are interested in it, we would love to maybe set something up, maybe on Twitter, or might even put it in our Spotify or Apple or whatever our description is, up until LAN. So something to think about. I think we're more likely right now just trying to get a gauge on how many people would be interested in it actually helping us. And if you are, we would love to hear from you in some regard, whether that's on some sort of social media or on Discord. And then to try and gauge if we actually have a chance of doing this. If we do, then we'll continue on with the GoFundMe. If not, no biggie. We'll do something from here, from the homeland, right? So
Yeah, it's important to say too that we would be bringing all the equipment and trying to interview as many people as we possibly could in a different kind of environment. We've never had a face-to-face interview. We wouldn't just be going just to fuck around and do nothing. It would be obviously us going there to try and form relationships with some of these guys, bring more people on the show, maybe have a full team sit down interview, trying to get all of the content that we possibly could. Also, all meeting each other in person for the first time. It would be all of that. It wouldn't just be, like that's an important thing. I don't think people would want to just send somebody on a trip and just have them just get blasted.
Yeah, sorry, that's actually
it would be
that's
all
pretty important.
Yeah, it would be all for the
We would
podcast.
be posting crazy content. We'd be doing interviews. We'd be getting like exclusive content. We'd be getting inside like the players like lives, their headspace while they're in this environment.
Yeah,
it'll be just an absolute crazy amount of content.
Yeah,
if we end up making it happen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And so this is just a gauge. We'll probably put it at the beginning of next week's episode. We'll probably start off with an intro. I think we should probably maybe do that. We'll talk about that off air. But yeah, if you're interested, shoot us a message, or if you have a business and you're like, wait, we could maybe we could do an ad read for you guys or something like that. Something that we're very open to as well. So anything helps. But yeah, we want as the podcast to be over there during champs. I think it would be cool for us to be able to do that. But once again, thank you for listening to our show. Birmingham. Yeah, that's all of my heart to heart this week. Love y'all.
Yeah, that would be super, super cool. And like we said, it's just a gauge. We just want to see. Unfortunately, it is so fucking expensive. Like it is just insane for us to try to do on our own, especially with all the stuff that we have going on. But we figure if there are listeners out there who want to see us try to get some of these people we haven't got on the show, or maybe just have like different style of interviews and different type of content than just posting the podcast, like in-person stuff, all that other kind of stuff, that would be our main drive, our main goal, our main focus. So that would be that. But we'd really appreciate it. Just to gauge, just want to see where everyone's at, and we'll go from there. But ladies and gents, that should just about round out the show. Thank you to our guest, and thank you to everybody who listened here this week. We will catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Podcast, episode 50 in the books. And I do remember when we first had our first ever meeting as a group of guys, I remember Enoch said, if we're going to do this, I want to make sure that everybody shows up and brings it every single week. And I can confidently say, out of all the podcasts I've tried to start, all the people who've tried to start podcasts with me, we brought it every single week, because rarely do you ever see a podcast get past episode 10, let alone episode 2, and we're sitting here at 50. So shout out to everybody who's been listening since then. Thank you guys. We'll catch you guys next week for episode 51. See.